So, you've got employees and you've got employers. We hear these words all the time, right? But what's the real difference? I'll give you a hint. It's about way more than just who signs the paycheck. Today, we're going to break down one of the most important relationships in the entire economy.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll define the two roles. Then, we'll dig into how they relate to each other. We'll also cover the all-important rights and responsibilities. And to wrap it up, we're going to bust a few common myths about the workplace.
Okay, let's jump right in and get the basics down.
So, what exactly is an employer? Well, it's pretty straightforward. It's any person or organization that hires people to do a job. They're the ones in charge, overseeing the work. It could be the owner of that corner cafe you love, a massive global tech company, or even the government. Bottom line, if they hire you, they're the employer.
And on the other side of that coin, you have the employee. That's the person who says, yep, I'll take that job. They're exchanging their skills and their time for a paycheck. And the key thing here is that they work under the direction of the employer.
This table really lays it all out, doesn't it? You can see the employer holds all the cards when it comes to authority, hiring, firing, making the big strategic decisions. And with that power comes a ton of financial risk. The employee, their role is to get the job done, follow directions, and thankfully, they don't have to worry about the company's bottom line in the same way.
Now, you might be thinking this is all pretty clear-cut, but legally it can get kind of messy. That's why organizations like the IRS have this little checklist, a three-part test to figure things out. They look at three things. Who has behavioral control, like who decides how the work is done? Who has financial control over things like pay? And what does the relationship itself look like? Are there contracts, benefits, that sort of thing?
Okay, so we know who's who, but now let's talk about how they actually work together, because this is where it gets really interesting. It's absolutely a two-way street.
Yeah, it's so easy to see this as just a boss telling an employee what to do, right? But that's not the full picture. It's really a partnership. I mean, think about it. A business is nothing without its people, and employees need jobs and opportunities. When that relationship is healthy, when they both understand they need each other, that's when a workplace really shines.
So let's look at the give and take. The employee is the one on the ground, creating value with their work. Writing the code, helping the customers, making the actual thing. But the employer, they're the ones who build the whole stage for that to happen. They provide the job, the tools, the strategy, and yep, the money.
A coffee shop is the perfect example, right? The barista is the employee. They're the one making that amazing latte you're sipping on. That's direct value. But the cafe owner is the employer. They're the one who bought the espresso machine, rented the space, hired the team, and makes sure the barista gets paid. See? Both are totally essential.
But this whole partnership doesn't just run on good vibes. There's a whole framework of rules, rights, and responsibilities that make sure everything works fairly for everyone involved.
And for the employer, the list of responsibilities is, well, it's huge. We're talking about providing a safe place to work, paying people what they're owed, and on time. They have to follow all the labor laws and protect employee data. And let's be clear, these aren't just nice ideas. They are serious legal and ethical duties.
And here's the really cool part. Flip that list over, and every single employer responsibility becomes an employee right. The employer has a duty to provide a safe workplace. That means the employee has a right to one. It's a perfect mirror image, which is exactly how it should be.
Of course, this isn't a one-way street. Employees have responsibilities too. You're expected to actually do the job you were hired for, to do it well, and to be honest. That also means following the company's rules, as long as they're lawful, and keeping confidential information, well, confidential. And you guessed it, that list of employee duties creates a set of employer rights. The right to manage and direct work, to set company policies, to see how employees are performing, and yeah, to make the big decisions that steer the ship. It's this beautiful balance of give and take that keeps the whole thing ticking.
Okay, so we've got the framework down. Now for the fun part. Let's bust some common workplace myths that trip a lot of people up.
All right, first question for you. Is the employer always the owner of the business? What do you think?
So the myth is that the employer and the owner are the exact same person. It's a super common assumption. But the fact is, that's just not true. The employer is technically whoever has the authority to hire and manage employees. Think about a huge company. Your direct manager or someone in HR is acting as the employer in that relationship, even though they definitely don't own the whole company.
Okay, here's another big one. What's the deal with independent contractors? Are they basically just employees with a different title?
The myth here is that if you're getting paid by a company for your work, you must be an employee. Seems logical, right?
Well, it's actually not that simple. The real difference boils down to one powerful word: control. An employer has control over how an employee does their job, what hours they work, what tools they use, the whole process. But with a contractor, the company only has a say in the final outcome, the finished product. And trust me, this is a huge distinction that affects everything from your taxes to your legal rights.
So to wrap it all up, an employee works for an employer. An employer hires and manages employees. But the biggest takeaway? Their success is totally tied together. You can't have one without the other.
And that brings us to a final thought to leave you with. The world of work is changing so fast. We've got AI, remote teams, the whole shebang. So what's the one responsibility you think will be the most important for building trust in this new future of work? Let us know what you think.